Welcome to another episode of Something Came from Baltimore. I'm your host, Tom Gallagher, and then tonight on the phone, I have the guitarist, Matt Miller, of the punk band, the Homeless Gospel Choir. I just want to mention that Something Came from Baltimore is a labor of love podcast, and I am such a music fan. I am happy to share these interviews with you. However, it's an independent podcast. There's just no revenue stream attached to this project at this time. Hopefully someday, but not today. And I'm reaching out to you, the listeners, to tip and to help support our efforts. It's Cash App and Venmos, and it's available under the name Thomas Gauker, Gouker. And if you don't have the money, and I know I don't either, I know times are tough, subscribe to the podcast. You make comments, and then you rate Something Came from Baltimore a 5, please. What this does, it helps drive future advertisers to the podcast.
I'm fed up by this analog Twitter feed. If I unfollow you, will you forget all about me? Like making art with a paintbrush and all the strokes that go unnoticed. Or when your friends pretend you're joking even though they know.
The Homeless Gospel Choir just released their new album, This Land Is Your Landfill, on the AF record label. The Homeless Gospel Choir is a brainchild of Derek Zanetti, who writes about his mental health, politics, religion, and living in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, PA. Hazelwood's the press, steel, and factory town, which has seen better days. And so far, the town has no interest in redevelopment. In 2017, the Homeless Gospel Choir released their 5th album called Normal. And with their new release, This Land Is Your Landfill, there's a real band backing up Derek, and the sound is more sonic and contemporary. Take a listen to the first track on the album, Global Warming. Matt Miller, welcome to Something Came from Baltimore.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. We'd love to have you. How are you doing with this pandemic? How are you handling it?
Strikes and gutters, my partner and I are staying busy. I've just started making some songs on my own, like a little EP thing to put out in a day or two. Trying to cook more and watch fun things that we've been meaning to watch, things like that. That's about it. How about you?
I work full time, and I am so in love with not working. Now I have the opportunity to kind of do what I'm into. I do this part time, but if I could do it full time, how cool would that be? But also, like my hands are really clean, but I forget to take showers. So I have the cleanest hands and the dirtiest body. Once in a while, I have to think about, okay, did I take a shower today or no? I can't remember.
Baskin.
So you're catching up on your videos. What's your thoughts about that bitch, Carol Baskin?
I watched that so fast. I watched that in one sitting probably. I couldn't tear myself away despite my better knowledge. I think that she had such a harder time than all the horrible men on that show. I think that's what I think about. I think that's probably the least of my worries with some of those others on that show,
This Land Is Your Landfill was released on April 24th. Obviously, you guys were aware that the pandemic was going on. And did you guys have any questions about pushing it back later? So maybe you have the ability to start touring right away?
Yeah. From what I understand, there was people in the AF world and the hassle, the labels that put it out. I think that some people there thought that it would be a good idea to push it back so that it could make money when it comes out. But Derek and I were like, I don't really have anything else to look forward to right now. So we just put this out to say it's at least that'll happen, because all our tours, they all got pushed back or canceled.
I guess one of the benefits at this point is when people go see you, they'll know all the words, right? So it'll be a concert's better when you can scream all the words right back to you. Compared to the other albums that you guys have completed, this album is definitely a full band. The songs are longer. They have that millennial na 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 like that. That's real popular. And I mean,
Sure.
the commercial level has increased. And is that something you guys worried about, or you just are just trudging along going forward?
No, I don't think we thought about it that way. It was different for me. It was equally as challenging for me as it was for Derek, I think, because I would make the songs longer, throw in some weird words, lots more metaphors and things like that. But then, but it was a challenge for me to be like, oh, that's right. These songs have to be like pop songs, and they have to like have choruses and say the same thing more than once. Interesting. So it was it was fun for me to have to like, sort of step a little closer to the pop thing, and then him step a little further from the pop thing. It kind of worked out well.
In previous songs, Derek is talking about having people pilgrimage to Hazelwood and be a part of the band. Has anyone taken you guys up on that offer?
Can move to Hazelwood, and I will be your friend, and we can make a record in our brand new punk rock band.
I don't think so. I do have a friend from out here that does live in Hazelwood. I think that's coincidence, though. I don't think he joined. And he also did not join start a band with Derek, so hopefully that's not why he moved.
Now, I notice you guys have a large number of Patreon members, and since you guys are super indie, do you feel like you're spending a lot of time on your social media to get the word out, or are you guys picking up momentum?
Derek is pretty made for this sort of live streaming. You know, he'll just like turn his live Instagram feed on, and people can watch him eat breakfast, and like he still feels like he's doing something. You know, so like, he's like made for that sort of thing, because he's always been like really everything about me is, you know, I'm an open book, that kind of guy. So yeah, I think he's made for this. He's online all day long. Anyway, even in the van and stuff. So yeah, for somebody that complains about the internet in every single song on that record, he sure does spend a lot of time on the internet.
Derek is a sex symbol to men and women. How's he handling it?
I love to hear that. You know, I think what's nice, I think that he is comfortable in his own skin in a lot of ways, or at least he can be open enough to like not care about it. You know, that is fun.
Let's listen to the first single, Art Punk, from the Homeless Gospel Choir. You and your partner are working on the videos, like you just did the Art Punk and the other songs that are on it.
Art Punk were like, as this whole pandemic was starting to unfold, and it was all kind of happening whenever our release like rollout was going on, we were like, is this weird? Like, do we really have to put out the I Don't Want to Go Out song during this? And like, do we really have to do the like post-apocalyptic video? Like,
wow.
We were like, man, we really called that one.
What does the word punk mean to you?
The word punk, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, well, you're a little older, so I'll be honest, I'm 54, so I went through the whole, punk revolution where, it was new and fresh, and I stepped away from it. I'm interested in great bands, and in some weird way, you guys are considered punk. I personally don't label you that, but the word punk is maybe different now than what it was back then, and I'm just curious as to what you would define it as.
Yeah, I think it's more. You might be right. I think nowadays, and as far as I've always seen it, it's more of an ethos and a way of living than it is a sound or a look. So, and I think that like there's nothing punk about sounding like another band, like intentionally sounding like another band or intentionally looking like another person at the show. So it's more of an ethos of just like you being who you are, knowing what's right and wrong, and standing up for those things. And it's just a catch-all term to say the punk is changing, and we can all say we're something. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of the songs reflect Derek's mental health or his deep internal thoughts. This album does seem to have a less of that in a percentage. It seems like the band is in more good spirits and good health. Does the band feel normal now?
No, never going to be normal. I think that because the two of us wrote the lyrics, it wasn't all the time as like dead on personal as much as it was like a feeling that both of us could understand. Do you know what I mean? So like if like one of us would say something and the next one had the next line coming up, and, you know, they would run into one thought. It was a little more. It wasn't quite as Dear Diary. It was a little bit more like metaphoric and like a little more like symbolism and stuff because there were two of us writing.
Sure.
Instead of just one.
Let's listen to You Never Know.
My thoughts get heavy quicker now than they used to. The days are shorter now than ever before. The cops are a-killin' and the oil rigs are spillin'. Our shit president and his shitty children. You can never know who's lying to you anymore.
That one was fun. You Never Know was really fun. He just had he just had the first verse and those chords, and that's all he had, and he just had it over and over again. And I was like, let's write the lyrics. So then we would just like, that was one that we actually wrote in person. He and I went and saw the Pixies, and he got me a ticket to see the Pixies in Pittsburgh. So we saw that show, and then I hung out all weekend to see how writing would go. That was the first one we wrote together. And it was like, okay, that part's cool, and then let's just go ahead and use like other like body parts instead of like, I think it starts out with his feet, or let's just start out with his hands, something. And then so then we'd go over to his eyes and like other body parts and things, his heart. And that one was really fun. It was just like an exercise, and we wrote those songs, like we wrote that like completely together. That was the only one.
Let's talk about the song Young and in Love.
I leave my body and I float outside the bar or the club or the basement of the church, and I start to feel like nothing. I start to feel like nothing. I start to feel like nothing.
But yeah, he had most of that one. I think he had that arranged pretty much to go, and I just kind of played those guitars like that, and then I came up with everybody will take turns to say the like little coda at the end kind of idea, like trade voices and stuff. I thought that would be like a nice full band kind of feel to it and stuff. I like that one a lot. I think that one's really fun to play.
Jesus save me from the Christians, money changers, den of thieves, casting stones from stained glass castles. Give me something to believe.
Religion's always a big deal with the band. You have social real estate and blind faith. And what's the band's philosophy at this point? Are we loving religion? Are we not loving religion? Is religion good? Is religion bad? Where are we at with this album?
And I've been thinking too much about going back to church. A faith healer dealing pregnancy tests, Stockholm syndrome, citizens arrest.
as a consensus, I would say that we are, none of us are very fond of the way organized religion can get their dirty little fingers in people, you know. And there's always good things about having faith in anything and anything that can help you out, but I think an organized religion is those sort of things. I don't think that they're always very good for communities, and I definitely don't think they're good for individuals.
It's not accepting fault. Organic grocery stores in all the white flood neighborhoods for all the carpet.
Dream about the internet and global warming are politically charged songs, especially about the plight of our planet. What's the band's overall thoughts on those songs?
Yeah, that one's a pretty much a mission statement, but we're not the most, you know, we don't have the cleanest hands. We get in a van and we drive hours and hours and hours, you know, and waste things too. And our friend Cody, who drives the van and like helps out with like tour managing and everything, gets water bottle after water bottle after stuff. So it's like we're not the most innocent people ever. And hopefully that's in that song that we're also saying, you know, we're one of 50 cars on the streets. Yeah, I don't want it to sound like we're innocent of it, because, yeah, that would be hypocritical.
Matt Miller is the guitar player for the wonderful punk band called the Homeless Gospel Choir. They just released a new record, This Land Is Your Landfill, and it is on the AF record label. I thank you, Matt Miller, for speaking to me on Something Came from Baltimore.
Yeah, thanks for letting me.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore.
Hi, it's Tom Gauker, and I am the host of Something Came from Baltimore. Something Came from Baltimore is a words and music podcast, and it has famous and future famous artists like Sean Jones, Rupert Holmes, Auntie Hammy, Joey DeFrancesco, Go-Go Penguin, Joey Alexander, Bucanti, Gerald Albright, Paula Cole, and Kat Edmondson. It's music that matters. It's music for your ears. Listen and subscribe to Something Came from Baltimore and be a part of that Be More music scene.
Something came from Baltimore. Something came from Baltimore. Something came